I think what people misunderstand about Christianity the most is that a person's Christianity won't change them.
Mm.
God will. And I think that oftentimes people are carrying a Christianity that is borrowed.
Welcome back to Ministry Reimagined. I loved this episode. I love hearing people's stories from when they didn't grow up necessarily in the church to now studying theology in the seminary and now restructuring the way the church is run and what it looks like and what it should be for the future. I loved his story, and he shared really good insight about some of the questions that he had and what he struggled with the most when learning more about Christianity. Stay tuned. I'm excited because I don't know too much about you, but I heard you just recently spoke
Yeah.
at Proximity, and you mentioned a couple things that I want to dive deeper about.
Okay.
What is something your friends know you for?
Wow, that's a good question. Something my friends know me for. Definitely, definitely being loud. I would say that.
It's funny.
Yeah, loud, funny. Um,
Like the best. They
yeah,
call
like
me
just
like
the
a really
best,
good
like the best
friend.
hair, like the best smile.
That's
Nah, I'm
funny.
playing, I'm playing. But nah, yeah, just being loud, just being myself. Um, and yeah, always. I think one word questionnaire. Like I always have a
Mm.
question, so that's probably what they know me about, know me for.
Do you always have
Um,
an answer for the question, or you just ask?
no, I think honestly, it's beautiful to have a question and ponder it together. Yeah, like
Mm.
I feel like it's. I was talking with somebody yesterday about it. Is that I don't like when people don't know how to explore a question.
Mm.
Like if there's always if there's always a question about it being, what the intention is and stuff like that, it's like I feel like it takes away from the exploration of the question.
Mm.
And I think that even though you can't always agree with the person because people think differently,
True.
you can always find the beauty of how somebody else thinks.
Yeah.
I feel like it's beautiful to find somebody that thinks differently and maybe you guys don't agree, but it's like, oh, they view it that way.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes we take things maybe personal, in a way where it's like it takes away and rids us of the goal behind the
Mm.
question and the goal behind, like, being curious about whether it's an individual, whether it's a thought process, whether it's just a simple question. I think that, um, yeah, there's so many things that you can find out and figure out that you wouldn't have been able to figure out had you, not asked the
Yeah.
question or even given space to think about the
Yeah.
question, whatever it is. Yeah.
Mm. I
Yeah.
love that, and I love that you think like that because now I'm gonna ask you so many questions. It's gonna be awesome. Now, I do want to ask about your experience in Christianity and how that
Mm.
kind of rose about because I know you mentioned that you didn't grow
Yeah.
up in it.
Yeah. I think definitely growing up, my parents had Christian values. Like they always, believed in God. They always instilled in me that God exists.
Mm.
But we didn't always go to church. And so when I was 14, that's when I entered church because my aunt, Aunt Ruth, invited me and my mom. And I'm a huge movie fan.
Mm.
So in the Hispanic church, they did things that were, referred to dramas, which is like dramas, and they act it out, and they have a spiritual message behind it.
Mm.
So it was kind of like I want to be a part of that. I
Mm.
remember that when they did AY, Friday night. Some churches, I realized that in the Midwest at least, I don't know about here. Well, we're in the Midwest, but
Valid, valid, valid.
but I guess in the South, like how they do it is that they have AY, Saturday night,
Mm.
and so that was new to me. But that's a whole different tangent. But so particularly in New York, upstate New York is where is where my parents are right now, Utica, New York. So there they do AY Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
And so since they did it Friday night, we went and I enjoyed it. It was lovely. I got to know other people. I got to meet friends. But I don't think that was the start of my Christianity. I think there was an introduction. But it was one day I think that always calls back to me is where I was wondering, and it goes back to a question.
Yeah.
I think a desire was that what is love? And I think that 13-year-old me, 14-year-old me around there was wondering, where do I find love? I've been instilled that there's peace. I've been instilled that there was, happiness somewhere, but where do I find it? And I think that throughout this process, I felt like that was the first time that the Holy Spirit had spoken to me, because I remember at that moment I felt a warm embrace. Not particularly because I found out an answer, but it was because I wanted to explore that and what that was. And I think that when my aunt invited me and I saw how people were coming up to my parents and coming up to me, just, I don't know, they had a infectious vibe to them. And I was just like, what is it that is keeping them here? What is it that they're setting apart on Friday night and then on Saturday, and then they dedicate this whole day to God? Like, what makes them do that? And so I think throughout that process, just having community finally there was like, wow, okay, let me see what they have. And so throughout that process, I just continued going to church. 15 is when I got baptized throughout Bible study. But I remember I had Bible study, and the pastor, he was like, I think it was like June. Yeah, maybe June. And he was like, yeah, you're going to get baptized August 15th. Told me. Like, usually they ask you, do you want to get baptized? But he told me, he was like, no, August 15th. Yeah, wow. You are. And so, yeah, and I forgot. I completely forgot. I remember the 14th. He was like, "Are you ready?" And I was like, "For what?" And he said, "For baptism." And I was like, Wow. And thankfully he got distracted and he just went over somewhere else. Yeah, because I didn't know how to answer that.
Right.
And so yeah, at that time I was like, "Oh snap!" Like, crazy. And I remember that another brother, he was getting baptized. And so he saw in my face how nervous I was. I was like, oh man, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to tell my parents. My parents aren't there. And I remember at that moment, he looked at me and he said, like, Jose. And I was like, hey, how you doing? Like, I just thought he was like saying, hi, happy Sabbath.
Yeah.
And at that moment, he said, do you love Jesus? And I said, yes. And he said, that's all you need.
Sure.
And I think that at least the introduction of Christianity kind of models a Christianity that I'm passionate about, where it's not necessarily having the answer and the certainty, but being willing first.
Right.
Like having that desire, having that image within you. Like a lot of times people question and wonder, what they should do for a career. But if you never do anything and you never know what you like, then you'll never find out.
Right.
And I think that oftentimes we miss on the opportunities that God has already instilled in us to do something for ministry, or even do something, because I feel like our life is ministry. Like, I think that oftentimes we like to compartmentalize spirituality, which I've been guilty of in my past, is that you're spiritual here, but then you have all these different components of yourself. But I think that God, if we actually believe that we're created in the image of God, then that means that God instilled something in us that is part of Him. And so I feel like it's our job to discover that, whether it's life, whether it's other people, and yeah, like I feel like that's something that's so vital, so
Wow.
vital and so important.
Wow. There's many things I want to ask, but one, how would you define ministry then?
For me, I think ministry is a lifestyle.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a way of living. It's a way that you conduct yourself. It's a way um, that you see the world and you see yourself in the world. I think that when Jesus came back and he told us in the Beatitudes, it was a lifestyle. It wasn't just for pastors, it wasn't just for worship leaders, it was for everyone to live. And so if you believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, then you live and you conduct your way in that way, and you view yourself in that way.
Mm.
So whether that's how I walk in the world and I treat other people, but also how I treat myself,
Mm.
also how I treat the pastor, also how I treat my mother, also how I treat um, the strangers. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So it's like all that. I feel like that's ministry, but I think that um, oftentimes we make it and we boil it down to like different departments or
Mm-hmm.
different um, different
Yeah.
departments. And so it's like, I'm doing ministry when I only do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you don't take it out and
Apply it to your life. Yeah.
apply it to your life. And also not only apply it to your life, but also place it where you actively are acting it out to the point that other people can see ministry as well.
Mm.
I think that oftentimes we punch in and punch out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a disservice not only to us but to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think it's interesting you said it can also be how you treat yourself,
yeah,
because it's true. A lot of people focus it on treating everybody else, but you
yeah.
are a vessel.
Exactly,
That's good.
exactly.
I like that.
And Jesus says, love your neighbor as thyself.
Mm.
And so oftentimes we read that and it's like a service for others.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm loving others.
Right.
But it's like if I never truly love myself,
Yeah.
then how can I love others? And I feel like I figured that out recently. I've been diagnosed with PTSD,
Mm.
and I really realized how that affects my spirituality. That affects also how I treat other people, how I come in connection with love.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And not romantic love, but also platonic love.
Yeah.
And so even God, where it's like my thing is that I thought God was this um, just evil person, not necessarily evil, but good,
Mm.
but also bad. And so I think that that's something that the Bible also challenges is that is God holistically good?
Mm.
And I think that Job, in the book of Job, this is where the question is posed is that, when Satan accuses God, put your hand on Job and you'll see that he cursed your name. He's automatically assuming that if God puts his hand on Job,
Mm-hmm.
it's for evil. It's to harm him. And I think that throughout my life, I carried that because of my environment, because of how I grew up. I thought, man, and even have temptations, if I'm being honest, even have temptations now to think, man, like God is, man, like just
Yeah.
evil. He could be cruel sometimes. And it's not necessarily, I don't want to say evil, but cruel.
Mm.
Because evil, when we call things evil, we think that they're inherently evil and it's only evil and it's not good. But it's like certain times we could admit that God does good things,
Mm.
but is he all the way good? And I
Mm.
always had that question. And I think that I'm still, if I'm being honest, I'm still questioning that. For myself is that is God holistically 100% good?
Mm.
And I think that throughout my process and my journey, I figured it out that um, that God is good,
Mm.
and there is certain things in my life that affect my view on God,
Mm-hmm.
that I project onto God, unfortunately.
Mm.
And I think that oftentimes we're not honest with our experiences. Oftentimes we're not honest with how we conduct ourselves in our life, and also how our environment treats us and how we see on God.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? God is this way, God is that way. but we never get to truly know who God is. And I think that I'm in a season, especially after that, for me, is that I'm reintroducing myself to God. Where it's like, I know about God, I know stuff about God, but, oftentimes we know about an individual, but we don't know the individual. And I think that that's what it is, where it goes back to the pondering thing. I think for me, it's like allowing myself to sit with those doubts, to sit with those, with the discomfort, the tension, and that, experiences that happen in my life. But how do I relate that to God? How do, what I'm saying? So I think that oftentimes we don't do that enough. And I think that it conflicts with what we're taught, what we see, just ministry in general, because I think I've seen a lot of times in ministry, unfortunately, where, someone is in a position and they're, um, going throughout ministry and they're serving in a way where it's like, wow. And then out of nowhere, a switch flips and they're no longer in ministry and they left the church and it's a dramatic exit. And it's like, what happened to that individual?
Yeah.
And I think that oftentimes, they have a conflict within themselves that they never resolved, and it just grew over time. And I think oftentimes we allow just wrinkles in our spirituality and our relationship with God that we never actually iron out. Because I think that oftentimes as a church, we don't allow just an environment to foster doubt.
Yeah.
And I think that it's not to create an environment where we shun God and we doubt God, but an environment that allows there to be that reality.
Yeah.
That so oftentimes we face in our own four walls, but we don't like to address that publicly. We don't like to address that as a congregation. And so what ended up happening is that, okay, I go to church and I love God and everybody praises God. And what I see is that everyone just loves God. But then there's something within me that I see that I'm like, okay, like, everybody else feels him, but I don't feel him. So definitely it's a different experience for me. And it's like, it's not like that. There's so many people that go to church on Friday or Saturday or even Wednesday, and they have this discomfort, they have this doubting process that they're going through, they have this rift, and no one knows.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like it's a disservice to them, but also to other people. And they don't know how much, if they still are worshiping, you know what I'm saying, and still doubting God, then that's all the more testimony that someone needs.
Exactly.
And I think that the greatest testimony, I remember a great friend told me this, is that the greatest testimony is the one that you're currently going through. That's the testimony that people want to hear. That's the testimony that people want to see, because it's the real thing. It's authentic.
Wow.
And I think that that's what keeps us alive as people, as individuals. That's what, people are passionate about.
Yeah.
That's what makes us amazing humans, is that when we are authentic. And I think that we rid ourselves of that when we don't show the real thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that quote of, how did you phrase it? Of the best testimony is your current one. Because that's not the end. A lot of people tell their testimony as if it's something they've gone through and they've gone over, which is also, it should be talked about.
Yeah.
But the one that you're currently going through does make it more real. And I love that.
Yeah. I think people, a lot of times, they edit it and
Yeah.
make it sound pretty, but it's like, it's not about making it pretty. It's about what it is,
Yeah, I like that. I also wanted to reiterate the fact that, or what you said about, you're never the only person to ask a question and to doubt something. There are so many other people with the same doubts and same questions that you have, and you bottling it down and pretending it doesn't exist and praising God anyway could be the reason somebody else doesn't find the answer.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. I think oftentimes, especially when When we look at the Bible, it's so like, what is it, communal.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, I think that in our society, it's so individual. And I think that that's something that definitely does play into our time now, where it's like, it's so individual that, I'll deal with my problems and you'll deal with your problems.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's tough to carry a Christianity that's not communal, because
Mm-hmm.
that's not how it is. The fundamental art of Christianity is that it's communal.
Mm-hmm.
It's about gatherings, it's about fellowship, it's about all that. And when we dismiss that, instantly becomes something else
Mm.
that God never intended for. Yeah.
I'm curious because it's, you talked about you've gone through your life and your questions and the value of questions. How did you end up in the seminary?
Honestly, I'll be honest. Like I never thought I'd be in a seminary. I never thought I'd be in school in general. Because growing up, my parents. I mean, my mom did finish high school, but my dad, he didn't even finish like middle school.
Mm.
So school wasn't a big thing for us. So I was planning on finishing high school and then going into the military,
Mm.
or probably doing social work. Um, but I remember as I entered the church, I was 17 at this time, and I remember I was working at Little Caesars, and
Shut
and it's funny. Shout out Little Caesars. And I remember I was working there, and my friend Jonathan, I think it was, yeah, Jonathan, and we were making a pizza together, and he knew I went to church, and I remember just, yeah, making a pizza, and he was like, he asked me a question, and it was more about, oh, do you think like all Bible passages like are for adults?
Mm.
And I remember that I was like, no, I don't, like, I don't know what you mean by that. And he was like the stories of David, for example, like, I think that those are children's stories, like those don't work now.
Mm.
And I remember we proceeded to have a conversation on it, and it was a very like productive conversation, because I remember just telling them that there were certain virtues that David taught us that we could even carry out through adulthood. Like, it's not just
Mm-hmm.
at childhood. And so throughout this process, I think that, and not process but conversation,
Yeah.
um, is that eventually he got to the point where he said to himself, um, I believe. Like, I believe what you're saying, and I think that you're right. Like, there is virtues that I could still learn about this, um, and eventually he said, like, you know what, like, man, I was thinking something. I think you should be like a religious teacher. And I was like, and I was still learning the terminology too, because I had just
Yeah.
entered the church, and so I was like, religious teacher, like, I don't think that's how they said it at church. Like, I think you mean pastor.
Mm.
He was like, oh yeah, that. And so when he said that, I was like, oh wow, like someone saw that in me.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a season where the church was also seeing that in me, but I didn't really believe the church, because it felt like they kind of wanted someone to be a pastor because it's like they're passionate about ministry,
Mm.
or because they participate. And I was just like, I don't feel like that's enough. But when it was someone that didn't go to church and they saw that in me, it kind of hit me different. And I remember at that moment I started praying about it, and God led me um, to theology.
Mm.
And so throughout theology, I was like, wow, like, okay, like I see it at first. I doubted. Obviously, I had my doubts. Um, but I think that I just hate the whole thing of like, every time you ask a person, how you enter ministry, and they said, well, I never wanted to. And it's like, why
It's
is that the
true.
first thing?
Every person has said that. It's
Yeah,
true.
I'm like, why is that the first thing? You know what I'm saying? So I think that is redundant, but that's me. You know what I'm saying? That's me.
Mm.
But I think that Um, honestly, like it wasn't a route that I wanted to go in, but it was a route that throughout time, God revealed to me that there was actually nothing else that I wanted to do but ministry.
Mm.
Like He showed me that this is actually like all the desires, all the attributes, all the traits that the way that I wanted to live my life. Like He showed me that no, this is like I know that you don't see it now, and you don't see it this way, but I'm telling you that this is the route
Mm.
that you told me from your heart that you wanted.
Yeah.
And I keep seeing that over and over again, and I'm like, wow, like I actually don't see myself, doing anything else. Like different ministries, of course, but outside of ministry, nah. Like I
I got
remember I
that.
was working at Walmart, and I'm like, man, like people don't know, but you make pretty good money
At Walmart, yeah.
at Walmart, and the way that they kind of promote it, and the way that they kind of talk about it, is that they want you to stay there for like a career.
Mm.
Like it's not just
Wow.
a side thing. The way they talk about it is like, oh yeah, like we have your wow, I forgot the word. Like the for your 4K.
401k or
401k, there you
benefits,
go.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
401k. And so throughout that, it's like they kind of instilled in you that, yeah, throughout these things, like you'll build up, and then you'll get extra like bonuses and stuff like that. And I'm like, whoa, like,
Sounds
in
good.
my
Yeah.
in my interview, I said, no, like I'm going back to school. And this was during COVID. And so I remember that we were just working there, and I was like, man, I don't know how they do it.
Mm.
Like, going through their and I believe in essential work, you know what I'm saying, and I'm appreciative of essential workers, but I could admit that it's not for me.
Or
You know what I'm
forever,
saying?
yeah.
Forever, yeah. At that point, like I remember that I knew that I could only do this for a certain time,
Mm-hmm.
and man, I remember I felt like purposeless.
Yeah.
And I believe like there's two mentalities out there, is that I can work for the life that I want, or I have to like work at what I'm passionate at.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely a person that I have to work at what I'm passionate at. I can't work no matter how much money I
Mm.
make for the lifestyle that I want. Like I won't be happy that way.
Mm.
Like I figured that out, through other jobs, in that way. Like I'm yeah. And I think that God created me that way. There's other people that, I'm saying, they do ministry, and they do another job, I'm saying, pretty well. And so I think that whatever, God instills in you. And so I
Yeah.
think that throughout that process, throughout learning myself, throughout learning what I actually wanted, um, God showed me that,
Mm.
ministry was it. Yeah.
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 Mm.
In terms of seminary, that was an opportunity that obviously through sponsorship, like I got. But I remember even undergrad, I was kind of wondering, like, why do people go to seminary?
Yeah.
Like, what's the need for seminary? What's the need for a higher education? Like, what's the need for that?
Mm-hmm.
And so they just told me, oh yeah, because you get higher education, and your salary grows, and it's
Mm.
like, it's obviously is there's workers that it's more competitive, and a lot more people have their bachelors, so it's like it better solidifies you having a job.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so it's like job security for the majority of the time. And so because there's job security, but also it it di- it diversifies your ability to work in ministry.
Hmm.
So you can go throughout different ministries
Really, I
in
thought
there.
the seminary was just if you wanted to be in the pastoral route.
That's something that people don't know about theology, is that how versatile it is,
Mm.
which is I feel like one of the most beautiful things is that you can become a teacher, you can go and become a professor, you can go and become an author, what I'm saying, a pastor, a chaplain, missionary work. So there's
Yeah.
a plethora of things that you can enter in which I thought originally it was only pastoral ministry,
Mm-hmm.
but until I entered in theology, and I was just like, wow, like I didn't
Yeah.
know there was so many things that you could do, and so that's one of the beauties of it. Um, that's so beautiful to me of it, and yeah, I think more people don't know that they want to study theology because of it.
Mm.
Because I've had conversations with people and they love ministry, and it's like, oh, you could do that, and they didn't
Mm-hmm.
even know. Like,
Yeah.
no, you could, and
Wow.
and there's plenty of people that find different ways of doing ministry, and so it's so beautiful in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back to what we were talking about, how a lot of the people that work in ministry never saw themselves doing ministry.
Hmm.
And we were kind of like not clowning on it, but saying that that's every person's story.
Hmm.
But I want to say that that's what makes it more real,
Hmm.
and that's what makes it, because it takes a lot for a person to give up the life that they envisioned for themselves
Yeah.
to serve their entire life
Hmm.
for ministry and for
Hmm.
God. And so I think it's, I guess, more effective
Yeah.
when they didn't see it coming. And I
Yeah.
think that's cool.
Yeah.
Now let's go all the way back to
Mm.
the very beginning when you said something interesting where your parents grew up, or your parents raised you with Christian values and believing in God,
Mm.
but that you wouldn't say that you grew up Christian. What would you
Yeah.
say is the difference in that?
So I don't think that we were like it was a household that believed that there was a higher power. Um and I didn't know what that necessarily meant at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I remember before it says like I would pray to Jesus, but then if I didn't feel like Jesus heard me, then I would pray to Mother Mary.
Mm.
Like I would pray to something else. Like I
Yeah.
would pray to the Father. I would pray to one of the angels. Like
Mm.
somebody help me. Like I know that there's somebody, but like
It doesn't
somebody
matter
help me.
who, yeah.
And so yeah, in those situations, like I saw how my parents didn't instill in me that there was nobody. Like we're just we just here, or even my mom especially, she never taught me that God abandoned you.
Mm.
And so there was a lot of lessons that my parents would teach me, but it's not like we would study the Bible together all the
Mm.
time, or go to church on a
Yeah.
regular basis. Yeah.
Mm.
Hmm.
Since you've gone through that and found Christianity, I guess, more for yourself and reintroduced who
Mhm.
God is, what is something that you think a lot of people misunderstand about Christianity?
Hmm. That's a good question. Yeah. I think what people misunderstand about Christianity the most is that a person's Christianity won't change them.
Mm.
God will. Like, oftentimes we think that one singular person was the representative of Christianity, and they heard us, and we think that that's how all Christians are. And I think that a misconception also is that all Christians think the same,
Mm.
um, which is something that can be a little controversial, where it's like depending on the subject and all that. But I think that it's the nature of having a community.
Mm.
And yeah, like it's the nature of having a community where, individuals can think for themselves. And so I think oftentimes, yeah, the misconception is that we all think the same, but also that we all represent the same thing.
Mm.
Because a lot of people have different views of God. And oftentimes I wish that, we could all sit together, all the denominations, and discuss this. But I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I think that being overly zealous about a denomination is one of the things that hold us back from completing the mission that Christ wants us to do.
Mm.
When we put our denominations in front of Christianity and what Christ wants to do, I think oftentimes we can mislead people to what Christianity is. Instead of, like, for example, instead of me obeying and worshiping on the Sabbath, I'm not doing that for myself, but I'm doing that because it's instilled in me that I should.
Mm.
And if I do anything else, then I'm wrong. But I never do it because I want to do it. I'm doing it because I'm taught. And I think that oftentimes people are carrying a Christianity that is borrowed, that is not theirs. It's what they've been taught, And so I think oftentimes we're taught that too many questions is of the devil,
Mm.
when in reality, the right questions are from God. A lot of times God poses questions, and he poses them knowing the answer, but he allows us to ponder about it. He allows us to think about it. He wants us to figure it out. And so why not figure it out now? Why not figure it out with your own thing? If you're not right in your Christianity, in your relationship with God, then figure that out.
Mm.
Why is it that you don't feel right? Why is it that you have this discomfort? Don't live with it. Don't adjust to it. Question it. Remove it. Whether remove it or soothe it, whether it's addressing it, but do something.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. What is one question that you've had that you've struggled with the most, but you found an answer to?
Man. That's a good question.
I know it's kind of a hard one.
I think for me, and I don't know if I don't necessarily know if I found an answer to it.
It doesn't have to be an answer, but something that, like, you found peace.
Like resolve, yeah. I think for me, it would have to be like, why me? Like, I remember I struggled, and I mean I still struggle with the concept of grace. Like I wanna get to a point where I fully receive it, fully believe that, man, like God loves me. And I think that oftentimes what I've been taught and what I've been shown is that, oh, if you accept grace, like, you'll easily sin. You'll be tempted to sin even more because you take God's grace for granted. But when you actually learn what grace is, it makes you fall in love with God even more, to the point that you don't want to sin. And I think that the problem, I remember I was praying to God one time, and I said, like, why me? Like, why'd you create me? Why do you want me? Why do you love me? Why this? Why that? Like, why? And in actuality, like, I wanted to figure out an answer because I wanted to know. I didn't understand what unconditional love was. And so I don't think I was shown that to the fullest degree growing up. And so I wanted to figure out what the conditions are. Like, God, show me the conditions. Okay, like this, and this. And then it's like, okay, if I do this, then you'll no longer love me. But it's like, no matter what, he loves me. And I think that creates a big dilemma, because if we fully accept the love of God, we'll never be the same. And that's something that's so beautiful about Christ, is that when you come in contact with Christ, especially in the Bible, and when you read the stories, but also when you hear the testimonies, is that everyone that came in contact with God left different. No matter what, left different. And I think that when we start to understand how penetrating this love is, we start to understand that it carries heavy weight. But it only carries heavy weight when we don't want to change. Because if we understand how freeing it is, we drop everything for it. And I think that that's something that was a big dilemma for me, that I figured out. A question is that God truly just loves me. Like, I need to just accept it because he does. I will never understand it. I'll never be able to articulate it. I'll never be able to find a correct definition for it. Like, it won't be, words can't fathom it, and yeah, poetry can't fabricate it. So it's like, I just need to accept it. And I think that for me, as a thinker, as a person that, you know, is anxious and wants to know everything, like, it's conflicting, because it's like, just accept it.
Yeah.
Just accept it. You know, just jump off the ledge. Just, you know, just trust it. And it's like, for me, it's so, yeah, like, it's like, even think about it now, it's like, bro, what? Like, just have a manual for it. Let me read it.
Right.
Like, I'm a person that when somebody gives me directions, I don't like to, like, the left and the right. Like, I like to know the street. Okay, here you turn this and you turn that. Like, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I like knowing specifics,
Right.
because I feel like those bring out the beauty and everything. But the vastness in God, and yeah, and the love that he has is so massive and so vast that you can't understand it. I can't understand it. And so I think that that's where, you know, my thing was, is that before I wanted to accept it, I wanted to understand it. But I can't understand something that was already given to me without any condition. Like, it's just given.
Yeah.
I died for you. I love you. I wanted you. I created you.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
No, it's true. I think a big thing that I have struggled with for the longest time is knowing, because there's a lot of things that we're told, oh, but we just don't know this.
Yeah.
And you just have to be okay with it. But I guess not knowing or not understanding why God loves you, that's a pretty okay thing to not know.
Yeah.
But as long as you know that he does.
Mm-hmm.
What is, going back to the churchy type of things, what is your vision for the church?
Man. Vision for the church. I feel like I'd like there to be way... Oh, man. I hope they... Oh, man. I think it's a little... No, it's not controversial. I don't think it's controversial. But I think that I would like there to be way less churches. In terms of, like, I would love there to be, you know, if there's a whole block and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 churches, combine them, and the resources of that, do something with it. I think that I would love the church to be more just community centered. Like, oftentimes I know I've been in churches that they don't even know the person next to them. They've never had a conversation with the people that live in front of the church. They don't even know their names. They don't know their needs. They don't know what they need. And I feel like one of the things that is so beautiful to me, and I love, like, I used to watch Pastor Mike Todd a lot. I know that now it's a little controversial with all the sermons and everything. But one of the things that I'll never forget that he did with Transformation Church is that he called up a couple, called up a family, and he said, "We bought a new house for you. Here you go. We paid your debt."
Wow.
And it's like, wow. Imagine.
Yeah.
Like, imagine we could just bless somebody like that. Like, hey, like, I know you're struggling and stuff. We paid, 3 months of your rent.
Yeah.
Until you get up on your feet. Like, doing something that really helps someone. And I think that if we have the resources for that, we can bless people in that fashion. But I think that oftentimes the vision is to, man, if we get enough churches, then we can get enough people in the church. And it's like, why does a vision have to be get enough people in the church? But why is it that our love can't compel others to be drawn to the church? And I think that that's something where I feel like that's, yeah, I would love for that to happen, because in that I've seen greater impacts than, hey, have you heard of like the Adventist message? Like, I've known people that, they've been blessed through canvassing, but I don't know too many people that are like that. So I think that blessing other people, knowing what the community needs, depending on the demographic, depending on the environment, depending on the city, there's a lot of different other needs. So I think that being focused on that and not waiting until there's a week of prayer, but yeah, just gathering the resources together, and yeah, using those buildings for a school, maybe for a type of YMCA, like something where it's like it could benefit the community, but everyone can gather. But I think that a lot of different people within the church, want to run things differently, and I think that that separates us, and it creates a spirit of divisiveness instead of unity, which it should be. And I think that, yeah, I would like there to be more resources for sure in that area, and I think that that's one of the ways to gather more resources and bless other people, because I feel like that would draw way more people than a week of prayer. Me personally.
Yeah.
I would love, if I have a church one day, that if somebody comes in that's totally different than everybody else, that no one would look at that person. No one would make that person feel like they're different. No one would make that person, like, if somebody were to come in, tore up clothes, bad stunk, right? I mean, hasn't taken a shower in probably seven months. Yeah. And I'm sorry to put it that way. I don't mean stink. But I would love for the church to not even flinch. Oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
And I think that that is a reflection of who we serve.
Yeah.
Like, I remember one time, and I won't say the church, but I remember I was being a deacon of it, and I remember that somebody came in and they were like, wow, like a random person. Wow, like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't know there was a church here, like there was a random service. And then their reaction was like, we invited her in, like I invited her in. I said, oh my, like, you should come in. And then she was like, oh, no, but I'm not dressed properly. And I remember that the deaconess, she was like, okay, like, yeah, no problem. Like, you can come back next week and then, like, dressed. And I'm like, what? Like, to me, like, I was like, I didn't know how to process that at the time. But I was just like, wow, like, that's so wrong. And I don't know how, like, at that time, I didn't know how to, like, compute it. But I was just like, nah, there's no way that was right.
Yeah.
Like, that person, because they weren't dressed a certain way, I feel like she should have just been like, come anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter if you come in sandals. It doesn't matter. Like, none of that. Just enter. Like, we just want you to come.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that too often times, it's about, oh, you got to look the part to be the part. But it's like, we're teaching it wrong, because we want somebody to change their outward appearance, but the whole time Jesus Jesus says and God says that I look at the heart.
Yeah.
And so if he looks at the heart and we're worried about the outside, we just want somebody and people to testify outwardly about what we believe because it makes us comfortable. It makes us comfortable because, okay, like, what type of Christian this is? Do they actually believe in God? And it's like, oh, okay, he's wearing a suit.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's like, nah, that don't matter. Like, because you wear a suit does not make you a better Christian. And so I think that oftentimes we want people to have our Christianity because we want the assurance that they have the correct way.
Yeah.
And the correct way is how we think. And it's like, nah, God could be calling them to a whole different thing. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that that's where the overly zealous of a denomination can come in and hold us to a crutch.
Yeah.
Where it's like we don't authenticate what it is to be an actual Christian and be transformed. And so I think that oftentimes we need that adjustment to accept anybody, like no matter what, you know? And I think that people are afraid that people are too different for us because we can't control that, you know? Like, yeah, I don't know.
No,
I think that's so sad.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's really sad. I remember that happened. I was on a road trip with my family, and we went to a church. I think it was Loma Linda in California. And there was this guy standing outside. His clothes were ripped. I don't even know if he had shoes on or not. And he asked my mom, he was like, oh, is this, like, okay? Like, can I come in the church? And I'm like, how sad is that if somebody is standing outside of a church and they're questioning whether or not they're worthy or not to go inside the church?
Yeah.
That is so because of what they're wearing.
Yeah.
Who cares? God doesn't care.
Yeah.
And how sad is that? I hate that.
Yeah. It's like I wish that there was an environment, and I feel like I'd want to be in an environment where we could foster someone being like, oh my gosh, like, oh yeah, I could always go there. Like, no matter what, I know that I could always go there no matter what.
If your week was good, bad.
Yeah, your week was good or bad, and I could always go there.
Yeah.
Like, I know that there I have a community, there I have a home, like, there I could stay, like, I could be there.
Yeah.
And it's sad that gentleman, like, he questioned that.
Yeah.
And I think that shows and reveals a lot. You know what I'm saying? So
True.
it's sad. It's sad.
It is sad. But I think that's something very feasible that a lot of churches can implement and just change.
I feel like it's just reaching first. Like, reaching out first.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, not waiting until they come, but reaching out. Like, I feel like, sounds funny, but I think that I would love, and I don't even know how this would work out, but I would love that if a church was empty on Saturday and it was focused on, like, let's just go out.
Wow.
Like, no one's there, no one, like, it's like, let us go out to the community and let us do that. Whatever it is, like, if there's a sermon, there's a sermon. Like, there's other people, there's some congregations that need that, and then there's some people that just want to, like, serve, pick up trash in the community, feed the community, like, just that. I feel like that'd be a cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there are some churches that do that. I think Harbor of Hope is becoming a good. I don't know if they actually do exactly that.
Is that here or?
They in Benton Harbor, they meet on Saturdays, but they're very community focused. Like they have, like they go. I don't actually know all the facts about it, but I know there are a lot of people, especially young people, that are studying now and working their way to work in ministry and in the church, that are changing the way it's structured to be like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome. Yeah. And I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. I think that was awesome.
No, thank you.
I think
thank
that
you
was
for having me.
Refreshing to think about how to restructure the way the church is run and the way that it should be, and to live according to the Bible and not the religion. So I think that was cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this episode and you want to support this podcast, please like the video, subscribe so you can see more episodes just like this one, and comment so we know what you think. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.